Imagine starring in a home movie where you get assassinated. You laugh, you clutch your heart, and exactly 2 months later, it happens in reality. Down to the last detail. John F. Kennedy literally rehearsed his own death. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Today, we're forgetting about politics and the magic bullet. We are looking at a terrifying glitch in the Matrix. A life that copies Lincoln's fate carbon copy 100 years later. A voodoo curse involving the number 22, and a death on the only day of the year his son was expecting presents. Facts that are mathematically impossible. Let's dive in. The mirror paradox. Historians call it the Lincoln-Kennedy paradox. If you place their lives side by side, it feels like the universe just copy-pasted the script. Look at the rhythm. Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. Kennedy in 1946. Exactly 100 years. Lincoln became president in 1860. Kennedy in 1960. Again, exactly 100 years. Both were shot on a Friday, both in the head, both with their wives holding their hands until the end. But the logistics are where it gets hair-raising. Lincoln was killed in Ford's theater. Kennedy was killed in a Lincoln car made by Ford. Lincoln sat in Box 7. Kennedy's car was the 7th in the line. The successors, both named Johnson. Andrew Johnson was born in 1808, Lyndon Johnson in 1908, that 100-year cycle again, and the finale, the assassins. John Wilkes Booth shoots in a theater and runs to a warehouse. Lee Harvey Oswald shoots from a warehouse and runs to a theater. It's a perfect mirror reflection. And if you count the letters in their full names, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald both have exactly 15 letters. Write in the comments, how many coincidences does it take before they stop being random? Is this math, or is history following a script? The rehearsal of his own death. For decades, this story was dismissed as a rumor until Secret Service agent Paul Landis revealed the truth in his 2023 memoir. September 1963, only 8 weeks before Dallas. Jacqueline Kennedy is filming a playful home movie at their estate. Suddenly, JFK decides to add a dark twist to the script. He directs a scene where his car is ambushed. On film, the president clutches his chest and collapses in the back seat, covered in red paint to mimic a fatal wound. He's laughing, thinking it's great fun. Agent Landis watched in silence as the President of the United States staged his own murder. 2 months later, the red paint became real. It wasn't just a scene, it was a premonition caught on tape. Has it ever happened to you that you joked about a tragedy, and then it came true? Was this a sign of fate that Kennedy ignored? Papa Doc's voodoo curse. Kennedy faced an enemy who used black magic instead of diplomacy. Haitian dictator François Papa Doc Duvalier. He dressed like the voodoo spirit of death and ruled his island through sheer terror. After Kennedy cut off U.S. aid, Duvalier didn't negotiate. He publicly cursed the president. On the morning of November 22, 1963, Duvalier locked himself in his ritual chamber. He was obsessed with the number 22, believing it held ancient power. Witnesses claim he took a wax doll of Kennedy and began methodically stabbing it with a needle, exactly 2,222 times, summoning the spirits to strike. Hours later, the news arrived from Dallas. Kennedy was dead on the 22nd. While the world wept, Duvalier popped champagne. He declared a national holiday and told his people, "The spirits have done their work." He even had the audacity to send a sarcastic telegram to the White House offering condolences from the man who believed he pulled the trigger from thousands of miles away. The Double Premonition. Kennedy didn't just act out death in a movie. He predicted it with words, twice. The first time was after the Cuban Missile Crisis when the world stood on the brink of nuclear war. In a recently declassified interview found by historian Robert Dallek, there is a recording of the president's words. Discussing the tension of those days, Kennedy told Jacqueline, "If anyone is going to kill me, let it happen now." He meant that it was better to go while the world was still intact, but the words proved prophetic. The second prediction came literally 3 hours before his death. The morning of November 22nd, a hotel in Fort Worth. The rain had just stopped. Kennedy was reading the morning paper, which featured a black border and accusations of treason. He turned to his aide, Kenneth O'Donnell, and uttered a phrase that today reads like a blueprint for a hitman. If anybody really wanted to shoot the President of the United States, it is not a very difficult job. All one has to do is get on a high building with a telescopic rifle, and there's nothing anybody can do to defend against such an attempt. Think about it. A high building, optics, the helplessness of security. He didn't describe a bomb, poison, or a pistol in a crowd. He described exactly what Oswald, or someone else, would do to him 180 minutes later. Was this the foresight of an experienced politician, or fatal resignation before the inevitable? The police doppelganger. 45 minutes after the shots were fired at Kennedy, Lee Harvey Oswald, according to the official version, commits another murder. He shoots patrolman J.D. Tippit. Why? Oswald was just walking down the street. Tippit stopped to talk. Shots fired. But look at a photo of Officer Tippit. He had a striking appearance, the same haircut, the same facial features, the same build as John F. Kennedy. Even his friends jokingly called him Jack, just like the president. There is a theory that sounds wild but explains this strange death. What if Tippit was part of a more complex plan? What if his body was meant to be used for a switch? Or, conversely, did his resemblance to the president play a cruel joke on him in the mind of a stressed-out Oswald? Why, of all the police officers in Dallas, does Oswald run into the one who looks like a budget version of the man he just killed? It is also strange that Tippit broke protocol and drove into a district he wasn't assigned to. Who sent him there? History remains silent. Twins in pain. Lincoln and Kennedy were connected by chronic pain. Modern doctors believe both suffered from severe genetic diseases. To manage the agony, both found the exact same solution: the rocking chair. It became a symbol of their presidencies in the White House exactly 100 years apart. But for Kennedy, the treatment proved fatal. He wore a rigid medical back brace. In Dallas, after the first non-lethal shot to the neck, the brace held him upright like a mannequin, preventing him from collapsing to the floor. Unable to duck, he remained a perfect seated target for the final headshot. Disease forced them to sit, and death found them both seated. Lincoln in a theater chair, Kennedy in a limo. The fatal numerology of names. Fate targeted their families using the same names. Both presidents had 4 children, and 2 died young. But look at the names. Lincoln had sons Robert and Edward. Edward died young. Kennedy had brothers Robert and Edward. Robert Kennedy was later assassinated during a presidential campaign, repeating his brother's path. It's as if the universe treated the Lincolns and Kennedys as the same family, scattered across time. The Saddest Birthday. And the final fact: it's not about politics, magic, or ballistics. It's about the simple human cruelty of fate. The whole world remembers the footage of Kennedy's funeral in Washington, November 25, 1963. The funeral procession, Jacqueline's black veil, the salute of nations, and a little boy in a short coat, John F. Kennedy Jr., stepping forward and saluting his father's casket. That photo became a symbol of the era, but few people at that moment realized one heartbreaking detail. It was on that very day, November 25th, that John F. Kennedy Jr. was turning 3 years old. The boy woke up that morning expecting a celebration, cake, candles, and presents from his dad. Instead, he got his father's funeral, broadcast to the entire world, and became the main character of a mourning ceremony. This coincidence seems too cynical to be random. Fate chose the single date in the year that should have been the happiest for the family and turned it into a day of sorrow. It was the final cruel signature on the sentence of the Kennedy clan.